Not M. And
All right, so we are on week 2, Monday, quarter 3, math 7 on patterns. So let's take a look. Remember, N is going to be the number of figures, and T of N is going to be the total number of tiles. So this is N1, N2, N3. That's what you start off first. Then T of 1 is equal to what?
5.
T of 2 is equal to?
7.
T of 3 is equal to?
9.
I mean, is it consistent?
Yeah.
It is, right? Because your pattern is you're just adding what? 2. So when you add 2, this is also going to be your slope. Your M is going to be 2. Does that make sense? Okay. So this is also a linear. It's not quadratic, which means it goes in a straight line, right?
Mhm.
So then you did your figure 4 and figure 5, correct? So then what's T of 4 equal to? 5 is equal to? Okay. So make a rough sketch of T to the 50th. Well, so it's saying what is T to the 50th is, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't really care about doing that. You did that, correct? So that's fine. Determine the number of tile in the 50th figure. Well, this is the one we're gonna have to use our math, right? Y equals mx plus b. Remember, you need to have m and b to complete the equation. Another way of writing this, remember, is what's the other equation? T of n is equal to
Mx plus
m
M times N or
plus b. But in our previous equation, we already determined that m is equal to 2, correct? But if you were to figure it out, what's the equation for slope?
y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
What are the 2 points that you should always use? That's going to be the easiest. The 1, 5, and
2, 7.
now you could label this, or if you don't want to label it, you don't have to, because you should be able to just kind of. This is exactly the same that we've been doing for the last several days. If you can't figure this out, that's a problem. Do you understand? It's exactly the same. It has not changed. So what are the 2 numbers that goes on top?
The numbers that go on top is
Actually, don't tell me. Just go ahead and show me the work. Do that right now. Show me the work.
M is
so your slope is going to be 7 minus 5 and then 2 minus 1. Remember the denominator is always 2 minus 1 because you're going from 1 to 2, right? The difference is going to be just 1. So it's 2 over 1, which is just 2. So that checks out, right? Because we consistently said in the beginning that you're adding 2. So your slope is a change of 2. So now that you have 2, you need to have b, right? So to find b, we do y equals 2x plus b. We're going to pick the easiest point, right?
Yeah.
So 5 equals 2 times 1 plus b. So b equals 5 minus 2, which is 3. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
So then there's your equation. Y equals 2x plus 3, or t of n is equal to 2n plus 3, right? Since you're finding what is t of 50, that's 2 times 50 plus 3, which is 100 plus 3, which is 103 tiles, right? That is your answer. Make a rough sketch of the nth figure and describe what it will look like. Well, the nth figure is just n can be any number, right? Yeah. But you know that your equation is t of n is equal to 2n plus 3. So as long as you have this equation, you can go ahead and put any numbers in for n for the figure, and it'll give you the total number of tiles. So then continuing on to number 5, determine the number of tiles in the figure, explain how you found it. It's subjective. You can go ahead and write whatever you want, right? So if you're not sure, another thing that you can do is I would oftentimes just go over to Magic School AI and use that as a resource. So in this case, I'll go right here. And you can just type in like, describe the, whoops, nth figure for t of n equals 2n plus 3. Do you see how I type that in? Okay. So you need to have the equation, obviously. And so what it says is like the equation represents a linear sequence, which each term is defined by a formula. N is the figure, right? And then T of n is the total number of tiles. So for any given n, so for any given figure, the nth term can be described as starting from 3. So you start at 3, right? Yeah. And then increasing 2 for each increment in n. So that's actually a pretty good description right here. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You always start at 3, so you're not starting at 0, right? Or 1 or 2, you're always starting at 3. And then from there, you just add 2 for each incremental figure. Okay, so that's what you should write down. Did you write something down similar to that? Well, that's what you should write down. So take what you just read and write it down in your own words, okay?
What's the formula for like the nth figure again?
This is the formula
Oh,
for the nth figure. The nth figure is to say, what if it is n equals 50? What if n equals 100? What if n equals 250 million, right? N is just some number that I don't know what it is. It's an unknown number of figures, okay? But that's why we have this formula. So if I know that n equals 100, I could plug it in. If I know n is 1,000, I could plug it in, right? But you always start with 3. Does that make sense? B equals 3, which means you always start at 3, okay? Yeah. And then you should also describe that the slope is 2, so increase plus 2 with each figure. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, bonus, describe a secondary way to find the number of tiles in the nth figure. The first way is by drawing, right? That's kind of subjective. I don't really know how to do that. Second way is with an equation, right? What kind of an equation is it? It's a linear equation because y equals mx plus b, or t of n equals m of n plus b. That's the second way. Okay, drawing, which takes, what are some of the drawbacks of drawing? What are the cons? Takes time. Error, right? Because if you draw incorrectly and you count, like if you count, I mean, when you have 50, didn't we get 100 and what did we get? 101. How many times? 103, right? If you're drawing that, you can make a lot of errors with it, right? Con of finding the linear equation is that it's complex because you have to find M and you have to find B. Does that make sense? Okay, that's basically it. Do you have any other questions? No. That concludes it.